So today we've got something very interesting going on. You've perhaps already heard about it over the past couple of hours, but gold has been going absolutely insane, and we kind of expect cryptos to follow for one specific reason. And it is this right here, ladies and gentlemen. The government in the US has officially shut down. Now, there's quite a lot of misinformation out there. There's quite a lot that's not being covered. And I think without making it too harsh, without just leaving it at that, hey, government shutdown, panic, let's really discuss why this could actually be quite a good thing for our coins at least, but more importantly, how big a deal is this? Well, so here's what the media won't really cover too much. Because again, I hope you all understand what a government shutdown means, but the average length of a shutdown is actually only about 8 days. The S&P has ended higher 1 year after a shutdown in 86% of the cases. So 1 year after the shutdown happened, the S&P was up 86% of the time. The S&P, because everybody's wondering how this is going to affect the stock market. It's going to be really negative, but it's going to be really good for gold, right? Which again, in turn, would also be nice for our cryptos. However, that's not fully true. The S&P usually a year after looks pretty good as well. The S&P posts an average gain of 13% 1 year after the shutdown ends, so it's also not a little bit of gain, quite a lot. During the 35-day shutdown in 2018, the S&P rallied 11%. While the government is shut down, the US defers $400 million a day in costs. That's also crazy to me. And the Fed generally turns more dovish if government data releases are paused. Historically, the market actually welcomes shutdowns. So whatever you're seeing out there right now, it might not fully be true. All right. Now, having said that, this entire week, as I told y'all before, is actually quite interesting when it comes to data. But more importantly, I think the data over on Friday is going to be, I'd say, most interesting for this week. But there's something else that I think is quite interesting. Here is from Glassnode. Bitcoin's short-term RVT has compressed towards cycle lows, reflecting muted realized profit relative to network valuation. Historically, such resets often align with periods of market detox, helping build a foundation for more durable recoveries. So this is kind of like a pointer to what I covered yesterday. So the whole idea behind this ratio is that it basically measures the short-term hold of profits being realized versus the network valuation. Now, the last time we hit this level after a pretty good consolidation, we actually saw an absolutely massive pump. And the last time before that, in 2024, when we saw these levels, we also saw an absolutely massive pump towards new highs. I think both these times we saw a new rally towards all-time highs. And essentially, both these came after pretty solid consolidations, similar to what we're seeing right now. And together with this whole government situation, it could be the start of a new uptrend, plus October, plus Q4. Things are in a pretty good spot from almost any angle right now. Now, a little bit more in the news, I think this is actually the most important announcement of the past 24 hours, is that the SEC is pushing for allowing stocks to trade on-chain, like crypto, with trading to begin quickly. The reason I'm saying this is such a big deal is because of the severity and the speed at which the US is trying to indeed become the capital of crypto, let's call it. And now another interesting note is that September actually turned out green. Out of everything, it turned out green. Now, a funny note is if you just take a look at the September data here, every single time that September turned green, the next month was also pretty freaking good. And more importantly, the entire quarter afterwards was really freaking good. And there's one more post that I found quite interesting. It actually comes from CZ, the co-founder of Binance, or founder of Binance, whatever. So a lot of people are calling this that the altcoin season confirmation. What CZ basically said, he said, not predicting the future and don't get too excited, not what I'm saying, but a September in a past, my first crypto cycle, you look at the data, it was basically the start, or at least a little downturn before the start of something absolutely massive. The start of October, $4,000. A little bit later, at $17,000 or $18,000. And I remember with some of those coins, what they were able to do in just a very short amount of time. I remind y'all, when this alt season part happens, it usually is very, very fast. And if you look back at this, for example, in May, nothing, right? No excitement for many, many months. And all of a sudden, from October, it just started going absolutely exponential, and your done cycle is over within a month or two. It's hard for people to accept this fact that really, once it starts, it's really over quite quickly. But From almost any angle, it seems like we're about to enter the craziest phase ever. Right now, specifically with the government shutdown. And I don't want to spend too much time here talking about that. Data of the next week going to be really, really important. Silver saw its highest quarterly close. Tether is still buying a ton of Bitcoin. ETFs, of course, they're still buying. Not crazy, though. Fun fact, even Michael Saylor's buying spree has ended a little bit. But I always say it like this. As long as Bitcoin doesn't correct like crazy, that guy is still doing extremely well. And I don't think they're going to let it go down that low because it would be kind of shameful for the U.S. government as well to push it so hard and then see crypto go to absolute zero. It's an interesting note. Actually, when you start thinking about it like that, it does make sense for a China or a Russia to kind of push it to zero, while the U.S. really is going to push for, I guess, the heights. But then the counter would be that I still would side with the U.S. on this one. But hey, regardless, that was it for this little crypto update. Just wanted to say, government shutdown, important, but in reality, I'd say most of the data coming out of that is good, specifically because of the very bullish fundamentals right now. But I'll cover more of that in a video tomorrow. And if you're wondering how my bots are doing, and again, link for this is always in the description down below. Yeah, we're doing pretty well. I mean, if you take a look at the grid profits, if you just sometimes keep coming back to it, you realize how much Solana we have made throughout a very short period of time here. Just 25 SOL on just the grid profits. And if I go to XRP here, let's take a little bit of a look. This is in XRP, 2,500 XRP made. This is, again, just a few of the bots. The older bots are still running perfectly fine. We're up almost $30,000 on this one. And let's see here, XLM 4,000, Ethereum here 5,000. In total, we're up 23,000 on this. You can't see, but hey, here you go. Yeah, things are going amazing for the bots as it currently stands. And most likely this will just continue on. But like I said, if you want to learn more about that, the first link in the description down below, or second link for a nice bonus. Check it out. I'll see you guys again in another crypto video somewhere later today.